On this week's episode, we talk about how we think we can mask our low vision, but maybe we can't.
We're a little bit delulu, and that's okay.
So stick around.
Hello, and welcome to Rare with Flair.
The podcast where two best friends with the same rare disease are living their best lives. I'm your host, Monica.
And I'm your host, Jenny.
So this bit. Okay, please tell us why we did this bit, because it's funny for us.
It's funny for us, and I bet anyone listening just did a double take in their home or in their car or wherever they are of what the heck are we listening to? Did I click on the wrong pod? No, you didn't.
You did not. You did not. So the background is that I've been telling Casey about how I've used ChatGPT for different menial tasks in my life, and it's been really helpful.
Yes, it's been very helpful. And last night, I decided to ask it about Rare with Flair, and it got the basics. It was like, this is a podcast hosted by two disabled women. You know, they talk about low vision and chronic illness, and it's hosted by Monica and Jennifer. And I replied back, and all I said was, Monica and Jennifer, ? And then they replied back, and they were like, I'm so sorry. That's wrong. It's actually hosted by Krista and Olivia. Which is just as wrong. And I was
so funny.
I set them straight.
It's so funny. Straight. I honestly think that's amazing. And we, like, Casey sent me the screenshots and I was deceased. Like, it was just,
yes.
This is your sign to double check any thing that you get back from AI, especially if you need it to be factual, because, like, man.
Yeah, where did they even get those?
That is just
we don't even know a Monica and a Jenny.
Like, names that could have been fed.
And I was like, we haven't even mentioned, it's not even like we've mentioned people in our episodes by those names either.
No.
We've never mentioned those names ever.
No.
In Rare with Flair history. I don't have any friends named Monica and Jennifer.
I think I know one girl named Monica, and that's probably it.
I know one Jennifer, and it's like my friend's sister. So, yeah,
so
I mean,
funny.
It's just so crazy. But anyway, so
wow.
like those are now our aliases.
Yes.
And I said to her on text, I was like, good night, Monica. Have a great night.
Oh my gosh. Night, Jenny. So yeah,
Jenny.
It's so funny because sometimes you ever just need like an alias if there's like a weird situation and you're somewhere that you don't feel safe and someone asks you what your name is and it's not important. Yeah. So like that is now my new alias name. I love it.
That's now our name. Those are our names now.
I think they're pretty believable names for us.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know how well they fit us, but I also feel like for some reason you're more of a Monica and I'm more of a Jenny.
No, it totally made sense. I didn't think twice when you called me Monica.
Yeah, it really works.
Just
and
really
I haven't
worked.
watched Friends.
Now, are you more of a Krista and I'm more of an Olivia?
Oh.
Or how does that work?
I don't. Oh, God.
That one's more of a toss-up.
That's a toss-up. That's a toss-up. Yeah.
So, PSA, double check, like, fact check your AI.
True.
I actually use AI a lot in this show, especially when it comes to writing the, like, alternative text for the images on our site. I feed it into ChatGPT and I like edit what it gives me. But yeah, so hey, it's super useful.
Yeah, and before we get started, I want to say, as we are recording this, it is election night now.
Oh, man.
In the United States of America.
Woohoo! I mean, by the time this episode comes out, we will have an elected president.
We hope.
Just strive to be kind to everybody. I think everyone is on edge just because of how close this race is. So regardless of who wins, just try to be graceful about it.
Be kind to your neighbor. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Adding that in. I think we're both a little loopy today.
I know. We also had the time change this weekend, so...
Oh, God. That's going to throw you off.
This time change is just so brutal.
Yeah.
It's we keep talking about, like, in different parts of the U.S. and throughout the country, we keep talking about, like, abolishing this daylight saving time, but, like, no, it keeps happening, and, like, now it's dark at 4 to 5 p.m., and I hate it.
I'm kind of one of those weird outliers that actually likes it.
I don't like the dark time change. I like the springtime change.
Well, technically, the dark one is like the original time, and the spring was what we're saving daylight, which I like. But I also like this because it's kind of cozy in the winter when you're in your house. And how are you going to go look at Christmas lights at like 6 o'clock if it's light outside? You know what I'm saying?
You wait until 7.
Well, or 9. Well,
it
takes forever.
Okay. Before we fell back an hour, the sun was still setting at like 6 to 6:30, so it wasn't that much later.
True.
9 is like in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, you're right.
The sun is we still be moving around the sun. And
we still be moving.
So, it's still happening.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You are correct.
But, I mean, it's kind of cutesy around the holidays, but
it's cozy.
In January, especially, it feels awful. Truly so bad that the sun sets at 4.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But here we are. Yeah. We're gonna make the most of our little cozy moments.
We're trying. We're trying to be cozy. Being cute, being cozy.
Being cute
doing our
and
best.
Cozy. I am wearing a cardigan right now. Some of you who have been longer listeners may be shocked to hear that, but I think Casey and I always talk about how we influence each other. And I think Casey very much has influenced me. I'm picky about the kind of cardigans that I actually like, but I have one now. I got one when I was in Ireland. It's kind of a cropped cardigan, and it has like these like balloon sleeves, but it's like cable knit with like made of like wool. It's really warm, and it smells like sheep.
That sounds so cute. I'm wearing a cardigan right now as well. It's a grandma pink
It's a cute.
stripe.
I like that grandma cardigan.
It's so cute.
It's like got little like tulips. I love little tulips.
It was thrifted,
Ooh, love it.
Thanks, it was thrifted. My favorite saying.
Oh, I know. Such a flex.
And it has little scallops on the sleeve.
Oh, that's precious. I didn't know that.
It's precious, okay? I'm precious.
She is precious. We knew this,
I'm precious. I'm also, on occasion, delulu.
Oh, yes. Very.
As are you, my friend.
We're all a little delulu. And I think especially as people with low vision. And okay, we have to talk about this. This is aimed at folks with low vision in the room. But that doesn't mean that you can't listen if you don't have low vision, just so that you can understand our thought process and weird in between lived experience, because it is a strange world to live in.
It is. And we think we look normal, but we don't always look normal. We think we're pulling it off.
So
we think we're masking.
I think we look normal because if we've ever disclosed to someone, I just don't think it matches their expectations of someone who has low vision, limited vision, legally blind, whatever you want to call it. Because frankly, I think that people have a very narrow view of what that would look like.
Right.
And so, what we're also, as a disclaimer, we're not telling people that they look bad or that, what they're doing is wrong. But I think personally, I was thinking about this because I was just becoming a little bit more self-aware in my life. This shouldn't deter you from doing anything also, but it should also it serves as a reminder that you don't even need to carry a cane or a guide dog in order for people to kind of get an idea that there's something going on.
Slightly off. So, yeah, they might not realize it's your vision, but something's going on, and I'm glad you made that disclaimer because I don't think it's blind people. I don't think it's our I don't think blind people need to try to fit into society in a certain way if they are not feeling that. You don't have to try to look normal if you're not, I mean, quite to be frank. But we're kind of like, you're kind of conditioned to want to act a certain way to not stand out and to fit in. And so I think even though I accept who I am and I'm confident in who I am, I can't help but like try to do the social norms still. Because we were just conditioned to try to do that just by living in the world. So
absolutely. And it's just like, this is supposed to be humorous, to kind of poke fun at ourselves a little bit too.
Oh, yeah.
So, take it for what it is. We're not like criticizing anyone. But also just, maybe just know, hey, you know what? I'm probably never going to look fully normal, and that's kind of okay.
Yeah, and we've mentioned this before, but I love the comparison to the first song in Beauty and the Beast where, everyone is like, there's something off about that bell, something's a little different. Like, she's a little, and it's like, I feel like that's what people think sometimes when they see us. It's like, that's a funny person.
Interesting. I wonder why they're doing that, And again, you don't have, and like, also, you don't have to disclose to everyone, but these are, like, in my personal experience and opinion, situations like this make disclosing almost easier, or I think people are more likely to believe you when you say that you have limited vision when they see you doing some things that are not quite normal.
Very true. Very true, my friend.
So, like, this idea came into my brain because I had two, like, successive events happen, like, one day and then the next day, that I just realized, I just had moments of self-awareness and self-reflection. And it didn't necessarily make me, like, extremely, like, negatively self-conscious, but it did just, I don't know, work in my brain a little bit differently. So, as many of you guys might already know, I have a little side business where I bake and sell little tartlets. As part of that side business, I talked about it maybe a few episodes ago or something like that, but I've also moved into being able to offer, like, workshops to make your own no-bake tarts, and I help pre-pack ingredients for people so they can make 2 little mini no-bake tarts. And then I walk people through the process of making it together. And it's really fun. It's really cute. It's a good activity for a birthday, a bachelorette, whatever.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. It's so cute.
It's so fun. And I really love doing it and have a lot of fun. So I did it for this birthday, and it was a teen girl's birthday. So it was me teaching the class and then, like, 15, 14-year-olds. And they were all super sweet and very nice. But I'm demoing how to do some of these things, and I'm trying to be really aware of my movements so that I make sure that people can see what I'm doing. But I don't have a great concept of what people can actually see, people with normal vision.
Truth.
That does make it a little bit more challenging, and there's just a lot of guesswork involved. But part of the no-bake tarts that we were making included slicing up some strawberries to make a little strawberry topping. And so I explained what people could or should do, and then I started cutting my own strawberries so that people could see what I was doing. I cut off the stem, and then I started slicing it. And if I wanted to actually see what I was doing, I had a plastic knife, okay? If I wanted to see what I was doing, I would have gotten really close to that strawberry. But I was thinking, no, that's gonna look really weird. So I was cutting from a distance. And I was like, in my head, I was like, yeah, this is a normal distance. Like, I'm talking to myself. I'm like, this is a normal distance that people, could cut a strawberry and I wouldn't freak them out because my head's not that close to the knife and it's whatever. Meanwhile, my mom was also there because she helps me with these events, like with setup. It just goes faster with multiple people.
Yeah, it's a lot of setup.
It's a lot of setup. There's a lot of tiny little containers that everybody gets.
Yes.
And she was also taking pictures. And she took a picture of this moment just so that I could see and post these photos to my business's Instagram. You guys, I'm cutting this strawberry, and the girls who are taking the class are standing, and they're able to cut the strawberry like probably 3 feet below them on the table. You guys, I do not look like them. I do not look like them. I was like so sure that I was at a reasonable distance from this table, and I look weird. Okay, it's fine, but I look weird, and I want you to know I still couldn't see what I was doing.
And the funniest part is, like, if you had held it at or if you had gone at a normal distance, you would have looked even weirder.
I would have looked so weird.
And I think that's what makes this story so funny is that you really thought you were
I really thought that I was being so normal right now.
That's even funnier because, of course, we've all been in that situation where, like, you see a picture of yourself holding your phone and it's really close and you are disturbed at how close you hold your phone.
Right.
Of course, we have those moments all the time. But when you actually think, like, I'm going to look normal and you still are not pulling it off.
You still don't look normal.
That's pretty hysterical.
Like, the hardest, I don't know, how am I trying to say this? No matter how hard I try to look normal, there are so many situations where, just like this, where I physically cannot look normal.
I think that's amazing. A funny one that I thought of, and I'm sure you've maybe done this before. So Cass and I call Ubers and rideshares and users and all of that, quite often. And I do this thing sometimes I've noticed where, if I know so my neighborhood does not have a lot of traffic where the Uber picks me up, So when the Uber comes to pick me up, I'm almost positive that's my car. Of course I check, but like it's the only car around and it says it's there. So, like I'm pretty sure. So when I see the car approaching from further away and let's say it's the same color as the car I'm looking for, I often will wave them down. Like I will wave to the car even though I cannot see whatsoever if they can see me or if they're waving back at me or whatever. And I'm like, me attempting to wave to people in cars, whether it's at a crosswalk or an Uber or whatever, I think is me being totally delulu because I definitely can't see what I'm doing, but I'm trying to pretend that I can. And I don't know. I probably don't look too awkward, but if they don't see me or they were already doing something, I'm clearly like not seeing them. So I'm attempting something without being
like if they were signaling you in some other way in their car, you would not be able to continue the nonverbal conversation.
No, and so the fact that I try, like the fact that I'm like fully confidently like waving as if we're having like an exchange when we're not having an exchange because I can't see them. Yeah. I attempt it and it's probably pretty silly sometimes to them if they are like doing something else, but
and they're like waiting for you to make a move or reply somehow and you're like just waving.
And I'm just waving. Yes, exactly.
Like, okay, I will give a note though. Don't do this at crosswalks to anyone listening. If you are trying to like let a car go by, you don't have validation that they saw you. Like if you don't have good vision like us. So if you really want a car to go on past and, it's not like a light controlled intersection, this was an advice that because I was doing this and I actually got this advice from an O&M instructor. Physically turn around. Maybe look at your phone, but give your back to the car so that they know that you're not looking at them because they don't know fully. They're giving you a quick glance. They don't fully know that you can't see them. They can kind of tell by your line of sight, I think, that you're not perceiving them. But you don't know, if they're texting or if they're distracted, they don't know. So just, especially at a crosswalk, be on the safe side and don't try to wave at cars because I kicked myself out of that habit because
I do the same. Yeah, I do the same thing where I like pretend like I'm walking away.
Yes, and that really does help.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Oh man, but yeah, it's things like that. Like, it reminds me of I don't remember in which episode we were talking. I think it was in our episode where we were talking about really cringy public encounters that we've had, where it's missing like cues for handshakes, high fives, fist bumps. Like he's trying to high five. He wants to high five you. Like that story that you told.
Yes.
This I'm gonna bring this up again because this happens all the time. This just happened to me. I was doing a trunk or treat with some of my friends from my small group at church, and we all were dressed up like Inside Out, and we were handing out candy. I was dressed up. We were dressed up like Inside Out, so I was Anger. And a lot of the kids, especially the little boys, they were really excited, and they were like, I love Anger. This is my favorite one. And so
Aww.
More than once, a kid would go for a fist bump. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but kids are small. Kids are not that tall. I mean,
yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Shocking knowledge.
I am tall. I am 5'9". And so they're even further from me.
Yeah.
And more than once, the girl standing next to me, who I don't know if she like fully grasps that I can't see well at all, had to tell me like, oh, he wants a fist bump. I was like, girl, like this is not normal behavior. This is not normal behavior.
The kids are so confused. They think you're just ignoring them.
They're like, wow, why? Like,
I'm so glad that in both of those stories, the people around us have told us like they want a fist bump, because we would look so rude. And like, it's hard because this is such a quick interaction with so many people. You're not gonna give them the story of your life. I didn't have my cane with me. It wasn't necessary. Like, who cares? But it's these things that it's just not normal. It is not normal. I want to know if on your list you have the candle making down that we put together.
I don't, but
okay, good, because I do. So, if you listened to our lovely Ohio episode that we recorded live in Ohio when I was with Cassandra, if you haven't heard it, it was really, oh my gosh, such a fun ride. You need to go listen to it. But we did candle making, and if you want to hear all about that process, go listen to the episode because we explained all of it. It was great. But essentially, you're pouring like hot wax into this candle mold, and then or candle holder, and then you're stirring it. So I was taking videos of Cass.
Sorry, we're not actually pouring hot wax.
Oh, we're not. You're right.
We're pouring like scented oil
into the wax.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. We're pouring scented oils into the wax. So I was taking videos of Cass. Cass was taking videos of me. And it was like, they both were the blindest videos in the world. So I'll tell mine and you can tell yours.
Okay.
Like for my video that she took of me, I was stirring the oils into the wax, and it was that exact situation where like I thought I was doing it from a normal distance because I knew she was recording me, so I wanted it to be like a cute aesthetic video of me stirring the candle. Like I didn't want to look really blind and like get my hair all in the wax and stuff. So I was like sitting up, and she sent me the video, and I was so much closer. I was so much closer than I thought I was. I looked crazy.
Yeah. Well,
and I was
like
cracking up.
It's so hard because, like, if we sit back any further than what we assume is a normal distance, we cannot see. Like,
no. Oh, literally no.
No. And so, like, I feel like I was thinking of an analogy. I feel like if you've ever tried to use chopsticks and you're kind of bad at it, like that's how I feel very clumsy and confused when I'm trying to sit from a normal distance and do something because I cannot see it. Like with the chopsticks, like you do not know how it works. I almost feel kind of stupid because I can't see it, so I therefore
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Completely
And so
agree.
it's so hard because if we try to appear normal, we simply cannot. So our middle ground is seeing limited and then still looking blind.
Yeah. Right.
So mine is that, like, you have to fill up this it's a cocktail jigger. It's the thing that you use to measure like a shot. And I'm like, it's basically like two little cones stacked on top of each other. And so you have to fill one of them to the top with whatever scented oils you want to use and whatever proportions. Okay. So I filled mine to the top, and Casey took this video of me pouring my scented oils into my hot wax. So Casey was stirring, I was pouring. And I'm pouring it, and I'm like trying to be normal about it, but you can see me kind of moving in and out. And then because I really couldn't see what I was doing, and then I second guessed myself a little bit, I spilled some of the oil on the plate. And then, like, in the video, you can see me, like, getting really close to the plate all of a sudden, and then I'm, like, whining in the background. I'm like, oh, I spilled it. And it's so...
Yeah, you like get close up to investigate, and then you're
like, what happened? And then I'm just right up to the plate.
We were laughing so hard that both of these videos were blind in different ways. I was like, I look so close, and you spilled the thing, and like we are like a mess, a complete mess. Our candles came out great, but we're a mess.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But there's no possible way doing something like this that's super hands-on that we can appear that we can see. It's just not possible if we want to do it well.
It's exactly these types of things where we look the blindest too, I think, is these hands-on crafts and activities and cooking of any kind. You know,
oh my gosh. I've had people, I've said this before, I've had people over while I've been like cutting something, and they get so nervous, you guys, when I'm cutting with a knife. And I know what I'm doing because I can see it a little bit better and do enough by touch and get enough with my eyes. They can kind of compensate, but it's still not a normal distance, and therefore people are very worried.
Exactly.
I was even like, I'm still thinking of like things on a table, anything on a table. Like, there's just no way. So I was at my Bible study. And Casey and I both go to a pretty similar Bible study. They're different ones. But there's like kind of homework during the week that we have to read whatever lesson for the week and whatever like parts of scripture. And we answer questions, and then we talk about it in our study as a group. So I'm sitting at my group discussion for my Bible study. And most of the women have like these really thick spiral bounds that have all of the questions and the notes and everything in them. Obviously, since I can't really read print very well, I don't have that. And I download the PDFs online, and I do it on Notability on my iPad, like I do most things. So we're like answering questions about the lecture or about the week's lesson. And then I'm looking around at the room. And I'm looking at people, and they've got their spiral bound books open, flipped to the page, sitting on the table, and they're able to kind of almost fully lean back in their chairs and be able to read what they wrote. And I don't know why it took me 27 years to realize that that's how people read. Because I was trying to do a similar thing where I was like, okay, I'm going to try to hold my iPad from a reasonable distance. And I'm like, look at Ms. Normal over here, just a normal girl doing normal things.
Normal girl.
But I'm also zoomed into oblivion on my iPad.
Of course, obviously.
Otherwise, I can't read it. So I'm not holding it next to my face, but everyone can see that I'm zoomed in to see like 3 letters at a time. And so and then for some reason, if it finally made sense to me, like, oh, this is how people cheated on tests. They really can see from that far away. To me, that was
really can.
I knew that would happen, but I never realized that they literally could read from over there.
I know. I cannot fathom it. I cannot fathom it. And like Cass said, it's crazy. I am in a very similar Bible study with the Spiral Bound books. And so, but the difference between my study and yours is we don't have tables. We sit in like a circle with chairs. So it's hilarious because these women, it's a women's study. There are women there. So these women have the Spiral Bound book literally sitting on their lap and they don't pick it up to see it. Like they leave it in their lap and they look down at their lap and read
that is
writing.
So nuts. I cannot emphasize how crazy that is to me.
Crazy behavior.
Which is normal behavior, but like...
But for us,
what?
No. And so we look...
That's like witchcraft.
We look crazy to them. Yeah. Like, something's wrong.
But it's that something's wrong with us, so...
With us, but like, for us, since this is our normal, we think something's wrong with you. Yeah,
agreed.
Maybe we're the normal ones and they have like a superpower that we can't possess.
You know, I like that. I like that narrative.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We're just like the normies. Yeah. And they're powerful.
They're like super cool.
Yeah. And, you know, since you did the Bible study one, I'm going to kind of riff off of you with going back to the reading thing. So I've done a lot of theater in my life, and there are times on stage when I'm not playing a blind person where I have to act sighted, and there have been many times on stage where I've had to like read, you know, act like I'm reading on stage. And yeah, there was one in particular that stands out in my mind where I had this like little pamphlet I was trying to read, and I held it really, really far away from me. And then now that we're talking about it, I'm like, I probably held it closer than I even,
right.
You know. But
I bet if people saw that, they were like, wow, why is she holding it so close? Like,
right. And because it was acting, I was not actually having to read it, so I just pretended and held it really far away. But it's really funny to have to act sighted and think of kind of how do people hold things normally? And I'm trying to think of other examples, but I think reading on stage is definitely one that I've run into a few times where I'm like, okay, I have to read like a normal distance and I don't know how, and I don't know what a normal distance is.
Conversely, this happens to me all the time when I'm trying to show my mom things on my phone. I'll like hold it like really far away. She's like, I can't see that far. I was like, oh. Yeah. I thought you could see everything. What?
I thought sighted people could see everything.
Sighted people have X-ray vision.
That's so funny.
You can't prove me wrong.
They do. They do. Yeah, obviously. We've discovered this before, that if they look up at an airplane, they can tell the person in seat 30A has arrived. You know? We've talked about that.
Yeah.
I mean...
I think this is also specifically for people with albinism, but for anyone that has any kind of photophobia, we've talked about this before, but I wanted to bring it up in this context where we physically cannot make our faces not look squinty.
Correct.
I was like focusing hard today, this day of our Lord, at work, and I was looking at something on my screen, and one of my coworkers looks over and she's like, you okay? It's like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm really focusing. And she was like, you look kind of pissed. And I was like, that happens all the time. The amount of times people have said, you look really pissed because it's either really bright or I'm really focused or I'm really trying to read something. I look so mad, you guys.
Oh, I've totally gotten that many times as well. Yes. Totally. And I think also we don't need to forget about walking. So with our with our cane and guide dog, we can walk a little more confidently. I would say with the guide dog probably the most confidently of all the ways. But if we are not using a tool especially, oh my gosh, we might think we look normal walking in places. We don't. We are, I mean, I can speak from experience. When I don't have my cane with me, I'm looking down. My head is all the way down. And I'm like, I'm like feeling with my foot, and I'm
Yes.
sure I look wild. I'm sure people look at me and they're like, "What is
she
going
on
on with that
something?
person?"
Like,
and or I'm using someone for sighted guide, which also might look kind of
oh
funny
gosh,
depending on
oh gosh,
you know.
I didn't write that down, but I need to talk about how sighted guide looks because
please.
honestly, it looks
Yeah.
weird. Okay.
It looks like you're like dating.
Okay,
person.
either that or like, okay, my dad was taking a candid picture of my mom and I when we were in Ireland, and there is this picture of me, and my mom was doing sighted guide because it was really, really, really bright out. Like, I really had no idea where I was going, and I was holding my cane in my hands. I wasn't really using it, but because she was doing sighted guide. Guys, I don't think I've ever looked more stereotypically blind in my entire life. Like, I have the dark glasses, and I'm holding the cane, and I'm like hanging on to someone.
Yes.
In a way that, like, it doesn't look like she's escorting me like a date. Like, I'm holding her, like, right above her elbow, which is the proper way to do sighted guide. And it's the easiest way to be able to sense changes in the movement of the person who's guiding you. But, oh, man, I looked so blind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's no way to make that look normal.
No, there isn't. It doesn't look, the way you hold someone's arm during sighted guide is not really a typical way that you would lock arms with someone or hold hands with someone.
No.
So it does look off. Like, it looks a little off. It just does. Like,
Yeah.
I can't explain, you know, it looks similar to locking arms with someone in a friendship way or a dating way, but like not fully. So then it just looks kind of
like,
people
I
don't
feel
know
like
what they're
I look,
looking at.
I
It looks a little different.
I don't know. I feel like I look really needy, and you know, this shouldn't this shouldn't deter anyone from like using sighted guide, but it's sometimes just good to
great.
be a little bit more aware of your own movements, because like we can't see other people, so sometimes we forget that other people can see us. And
correct.
And that's fine. And if we need to also balance how we appear with doing what we need to do, you know, I'm not going to let looking a little off deter me from doing what I need to do in order to see and operate in a way that is comparable to my fully sighted peers. But at the same time, we just have to know that we can't pretend like this is normal. We just have to live with it.
Yeah, just got to do it. And then on occasion, you'll see a picture of yourself and think, wow.
Okay, yeah. That is how I look, I guess.
That is how it looks. But typically we don't really care how we look. It's not, you know, we were kind of joking about sighted guide looking weird, but like, I don't care.
Right. It helps. So I would rather that than tripping and looking also really weird by tripping.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to...
and also risking injury.
I mean, I've told the story where I tripped up the stairs 2 different times, and that man, the bouncer, security guard, he thought I was drunk, and and I hadn't had anything to drink. And so, like, you know, people think you look weird, you look drunk, you look aloof, you look like ignorant. What, you know, you look like you don't know anything. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like I still have more things to say if you do, because
Oh yeah. Oh, let's go.
It was a worthwhile tangent, but okay. So this one isn't necessarily about how we visually look while we're trying to do something, but this happens so often. So because personally, you know, I guess, but I can't really, like, we can't gauge distance as well at all, partly because our vision is bad, partly because we lack adequate depth perception, especially depending on the environment you're in. You don't fully know where people are sometimes, especially if it's super bright. You can tell where their voices are coming from, but even then, like, you can't get much more than that. And the struggle of being way too loud or way too quiet. I am
all the time.
Really, and I've been always really aware of being too loud, because I know that looks weird and people are like, wow, why are they being so loud? I'm like right here. So I overcorrect and I'm usually too quiet. And I kind of will like mumble things because I don't want to be just like shouting when I know that other people are kind of close to me. But people don't hear me. They literally cannot hear me. And I don't know. And I don't know if I'm being ignored or if they just didn't hear me. Yeah. Because I don't know if I'm being loud enough.
Yes. This is a real thing that blind people do tend to speak loudly. I speak loudly, but I also, my entire family does. And Cassandra, you might be like, really? But I'm talking about my extended, like my mom's side of the family are so loud. They make me sound quiet. Like they scream, these people. They're like, you should hear these voices.
Wow,
it's like
booming.
They all have a microphone. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. It could just be my family.
Fair.
But I like what you said about speaking quietly though, because we had this conversation recently, you and I. So we cannot read lips at all. So if someone is talking to me and they are talking pretty quietly, I cannot rely on, and most people can rely on reading lips. So I often feel like I can't hear as well as sighted people, even though I can. But sighted people have the ability to hear and read lips at the same time, and so that helps them. Whereas I feel like I can't hear a lot of the time because I'm talking to someone and I cannot hear what they're saying because I can't read their lips. And I don't think people realize how much lip reading helps until you can't do it. And then
there are a lot of compensatory techniques where all of your senses are at play, and you think sighted people think that it's just your eyes, but really you're using your eyes and ears and like senses all together, but you're more aware of your eyes. So when you don't have that, it is so challenging. Like I feel like I don't always know what's getting said because I don't get that. And, you know, that always gets into the conversation of nonverbals or eyes, especially eyes, and the ways that people's eyes look. And, you know, eye contact and kind of sending each other eye conversations. Sighted people don't think twice about that and what it means. But I was telling this to a sighted friend recently who kind of asked me a really sweet question of, you know, what would make you feel really loved? And I was kind of trying to give her a slice of experience because I feel like I get half of a conversation a lot of the time. And I might not react in a way that's anticipated because maybe I didn't get the other part of the conversation. I'm not totally, you know, we're not totally clueless. We rely on other things like vocal inflection or, you know, even just our knowledge of the person and how they communicate. That helps a ton. Yeah. But it is really, really challenging. But I will say, I know sighted people that can't read lips either. My dad, I love you. Yeah. He cannot read lips, and it is so funny for my mom who can. And she's like, you cannot read lips. And it's just funny to watch that because it does make me feel a little less alone because there are sighted people that can't do it either.
True. But even if you're listening and you're sighted and you're like, I can't read lips, I rely on my ears. I think they rely on it more than they think because when we had COVID and people were wearing masks, a lot of sighted people, I remember being like, I know. They're like, I can't tell what they're saying. I'm like, yes, you have the extra fabric in front, but really it was mostly because you can't see their lips. And that's how we are all the time. Yeah. Okay. Like,
and you guys still got eye contact.
Yeah. Right.
So, you know, you're still I feel like wearing a mask, it is harder to hear. Yeah, because they're muffled. But you still were at more of an advantage than we were.
Yeah. And my next one, speaking of, is eye contact, actually. And just acting delulu, like I can fake eye contact. Like I can pretend, like if there's a group of 5 people and someone is trying to talk to me and I'm trying to see, you know, like where to look, I'm faking it, and I'm not doing a very good job of it. I'm just going to be honest. I had somebody recently talking to me and another woman, and I kept like thinking she was talking to the other person and not me, or vice versa. I kept being like, which one is she addressing?
Yeah.
Is it me or this lady? And I couldn't tell. And I would just wait to see if the other lady would answer. And then if she didn't, I'd be like, oh, you're talking to me. Okay, great. And, you know, faking eye contact, looking at a group of people and pretending like I'm making eye contact with them is hilarious.
It's so challenging, especially the larger a group gets and the further apart everyone is in order to make space for the large group. They can still do it.
Yes.
They can
Yes.
I'm thinking of like around Easter, I was at like a little Easter brunch with maybe 10 people. And we were all sitting in 2 rows on either side of like a longer table, and people were able to do a lot of cross table communicating. Guys, this is like kind of a nightmare when you have low vision, because you never know quite who is talking to whom. And like, of course, this isn't going to deter us from being part of things like this, but it is so hard. There's a lot of mental gymnastics that you're trying to constantly decode. Who's getting talked to right now? What are they saying? Like, it makes me almost nervous. Like, I'm not an anxious person, but like, it makes me a little nervous when people are directing something at me, because I'm just kind of used to listening, and I'm a good eavesdropper. But like, the moment I actually have to participate in a conversation, I think I look really spaced out, because I'm just trying to listen, and I'm almost closing my eyes in order to focus on what I'm hearing, because the visuals aren't helping me at all.
Yeah.
But then I look more crazy. I feel like I'm falling asleep and people think I'm bored.
Yes. We look really spaced out when they address us, and
we're like, oh, huh, me? Oh, me? Like,
oh, yeah, me?
As if we didn't care
as if
and
we
weren't plugged
listening
in
the whole time. You're right. Right. Exactly.
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard.
Yeah. I have one more on my list. I don't know how much more you have.
2 more, but I feel like they're pretty short.
Okay, go. You can go ahead then.
So, okay. Paying for an item is a stressful experience. I think I've minimized the stress a lot in my life because I have an Apple Watch and I use my Apple Wallet a lot, and I pay with my watch because I hate taking out anything when it's time to pay. I gotta get into focus mode. I gotta pay. And I remember when I used to use cash when I was in high school, and I didn't know any better because I didn't have any actual money of my own. And I remember we were in New York. I was with a group from school, and we were at a deli, and I was paying for something. And you know they move fast at delis in New York.
Oh, it's stressful.
It is so stressful. I order what I order. They plop the cash in my hand, and they shove a sandwich in my other hand. And I'm like frozen, holding cash and sandwich. And I'm like, what do I do?
I know.
And I had to literally move over and reassess what I was doing. So from then on, I was like, I'm never using cash again. But even paying with a watch, I don't know where the reader is. I don't know which reader I'm supposed to use if there are 2 checkouts right next to each other. And I'm usually standing at the wrong one. And they're like, actually, it's over here. And I'm like, where? And I look so lost. I look so lost when I have to pay for something.
Yeah.
Most people just know where to pay, and they're like, oh, boop, and then they hit the little buttons without having to get way too close to the pin pad to actually read the screen.
It gives me anxiety. And it's
paying is hard, okay?
Every pin pad is different. Every single restaurant is a different layout. Every single cash register, like, it's just, and you feel like you're holding up the line, and you feel spacey. I
try to look super normal by, like, I know where the green button is because I can kind of see the green button, and it's tactile. There's a little circle, so I hit the green button. But then it's one of the card readers that actually you have to tap on the physical screen, and then I'm like, oh boy, and then whoop goes my head to the counter, and I bet I wish I could see facial expressions and also see the facial expression of the person at the counter being like, what?
I know. If only we could see inside their minds.
Oh, okay. I guess. It's so funny.
So funny. Another funny one. So I go to theater a lot and musicals and stuff. And a lot of times I'm with somebody sighted, so they can find the seat numbers.
Yeah.
But if I'm not, or I'm leading the way for some reason, looking at the seat numbers,
it's impossible.
I do it, but I look crazy. You know?
Like bending down every few seats. Like,
I am literally in people's personal space, like very much so. Trying to bend down and see the number of these seats, and people are really confused, I think, about what the heck I'm doing. And that's something I don't think I've ever mentioned on the pod, but that's another thing I run into.
That is so funny, actually. I was about to talk about looking for a seat.
Really?
Yes. That was the last one I had.
Gosh. That's so funny.
So it's just because it happened yesterday while I was at Bible study. In between our little like discussion, we go into a larger room, like a sanctuary, and have kind of a little lecture. And I went and sat by a girl that was in my group, but I don't know her super well, so I don't really know. I'm not used to her defining features. Like, we can identify people based on their shape, their rough shape.
Yeah.
Their, if we can see the color of what they were wearing or the color of their hair, if it's distinctive enough. But if we don't really know someone's general shape really well, it's harder. Yeah. I thought I was going to be super, I'm a smart girl, and I had a jacket, and I put it on the top of the seat. And I went to the bathroom, and then I came back, and most people were sitting. Unfortunately, more people came. I was sort of in the middle of a row, and more people came and sat at the ends of a row. And suddenly, I couldn't see in between and distinguish which row was which. And I couldn't see where my jacket was. So I'm going to tell you what, I was kind of going back and forth in the approximate area. And I could feel people watching me like, is she okay? Is she looking for someone?
Oh my gosh.
I felt a little panicked. And
been there.
And people in my Bible study, like, I don't carry my cane. So, because I don't need to. And so people in my Bible study, unless we've met outside of it, they do not know that I can't see well.
Yep.
Fortunately, the girl kind of like waved, and I was close enough that I could perceive the movement. And I was like, oh, thanks. Okay. Like, I just tried to play it off, but people probably thought I looked insane. Like,
I've been in that exact situation countless times.
Ooh,
seriously,
it was so weird.
Yeah, I try to kind of memorize it. Like I try to make my spatial awareness is pretty good. So I'm like, okay, I'm around the 6th row. Like, I try to
I was really close. But like,
sometimes you're really close, and then things happen.
I couldn't make it that last,
and
the last 10%.
Right, and because it changed, like, people came to the row.
Yes, since I had been gone,
like, that's
it looked different.
Been gone, that's when it looks different. You're in trouble, mister.
Yeah, it was and the
yep, it's a great example.
We simply cannot look normal, and that's okay.
No, and that's okay. I think that's the lesson here. Is that's okay. We're gonna end it on that positive note.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Truly what a time to be had by all peculiar. Involved.
I wonder if she's feeling well. I'm just quoting Beauty and the Beast now.
I wonder if people... I bet people think that about us after they see an encounter like that. They're like, huh. I mean, I hope she's okay, I guess.
With a dreamy, far-off look.
And her nose quite literally stuck in a book.
Stuck in a book, literally.
Like the book being held
at
the end of her nose.
Yeah. No denying she's a funny girl, that Jenny and Monica.
Oh man.
Full circle.
We hope that you found this funny and or informative, even if it's just to learn a little bit about our very confusing lives.
Yes, it was a fun one.
I think it's funny. I just think it's funny because
yes.
we delulu a little, but everyone's a little delulu, aren't we?
Oh,
Exactly.
Yeah. Everyone's a little delulu. We love you.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye!